Virgo, Lunar Eclipse 2025. This is a Discourse series, part 1. Discourse series, part 1. You want to stay in tune to catch all the details progressively as we make it through the week. There's a lot to cover concerning Virgo Lunar Eclipse. Coming up on the 14th, Virgo Lunar Eclipse will take place at 24 degrees Virgo. This is quite significant because it's one of the first major turning points that aligns us with the character and the mindset that makes a reality of Aquarius Pluto. Here comes the humility, and for those of us who resist the lesson of humility, there can be humiliation. And for some, there could be the extension of the delusion and arrogance, which only subjects us to a great fall eventually. Understand, Virgo 24 degrees, Mary and her little lamb. Mary and her little lamb. First of all, Mary, yes, this is characteristic of Virgo, just as Mary Magdalene is characteristic of Scorpio. They are both equals, but one comes from the underworld in arriving at the Christ impulse, and one goes through the high ground at arriving at the Christ impulse. And of course, this is through a rebirth of the self to be reborn. And the number 9 vibration is at the South Node, hosted by Virgo. Therefore, it is about endings, but endings so that there can be new beginnings and the divine self, leaving the carnal self behind, stepping into Christ impulse. Understand? The spiritual practice of innocence, Virgo 24. The spiritual practice of innocence. The spiritual practice of innocence. The more we progress in spiritual maturity, the more we radiate childlike qualities and purity of spirit. And I am reading this of Sabian Symbols. The spiritual practice of innocence. North and South Node, Pisces and Virgo. The dissolve at Pisces is very much about peeling back the layers that prevents us from a consciousness of innocence. When there is innocence, the subconscious, it is clear. You're not anticipating the return of that which you have done. You're not anticipating the consequences of that which you have neglected to do. You're not in expectation that your karma is coming back en route. You have clarity and you have peace with yourself and you're able to be present. Saturn is assisting us with addressing these things and facing what we have sown through accountability, through responsibility. And the word responsibility is something that you want to remember as relating to Virgo, because there is much to discuss concerning the word responsibility. The spiritual practice of innocence, again, this goes very well with Virgo, is just as it is said, it is a practice. Look at where we're coming from the South Node Libra, where we have been indulging in everything that goes against our own good conscience. We have been indulging in everything that deteriorates and brings corrosion to the spiritual body. Living out lifestyles and behaviors of people who have forgotten the morals and the values, who have forgotten the difference between right and wrong, good and bad, even becoming confused as to what is the right thing and what is the wrong thing and what used to be so obvious. We've gotten far away. Our moral compass is something we've gotten out of touch with. And what this does is it puts us in a crisis with ourselves to where we do not experience security. Security. We rob ourselves of security when we deprive ourselves of our connection and unification with our morals and our values, our integrity. We become insecure. Somehow we realize that every action and every word, and even every thought that does not carry consistency with integrity, with virtue, with truth, with purity, with innocence, there's going to be a return. And that return is that somehow we all come to realize that what we do, we will see it. What we put out, it's going to return. So we live out our lives being defensive, reaching out to get before we get got, trying to guard against retribution, trying to guard against justice that we know we're deserving of. And we become someone who we're not. We lose our innocence. We lose our innocence as we bog down our subconscious with regrets, with fears, with shame, humiliation, intimidation, vulnerability, secrets that we have that we don't want to tell. I don't want nobody to know that that's what I do when nobody's looking. If this gets out, what I do when nobody's watching, so help me God. I hope no one finds out. I hope the truth doesn't get out. I hope one day this doesn't return to expose me. And we've seen enough in our society that this is the case quite often. Decades later, 20 years later, 30 years later, when you're old and gray, here comes justice. Here comes karma knocking on the door. You thought you got away. You lived your life. You abused people. You wronged people. You harmed people. You were oppressive. You were unjust. And somehow it comes at the least convenient times. But all the while it was weighing down on our conscience that we did what we did. What is it like to live every day knowing that you're running away from a murder charge? You shot somebody when you was younger, and you were thinking a certain way that you don't think now, but you regret it, and it's on your mind a lot that you shot that kid. Did he die? I saw him slumped over in the rain. I heard a loud sound after I popped the gun. Then I ran through the alleyway after tossing the gun. Will it come back around and somebody pop me? Well, one day when I'm just in the innocence walking with my children, will somebody end my life the way that I ended that person's life? Will it catch up at a time where it's least convenient, where I least expect? When I cheated on that person, knowing that that person was married, and I still slept with that person anyway. I still was intimate with that person anyway. And then later on, when I come to my right mind, or even if I'm not in my right mind, now having a relationship that I respect, that I honor, that I appreciate and cherish, will it happen to me as a reciprocation of what I once put out? Justice and karma comes at the least convenient times. It doesn't come when you want it to. It comes when the time is right for it to come. We know what we did. We know what we didn't do. Again, the word responsibility. There are responsibilities that we have. There are duties that we have. There's accountability. And we delay it. We avoid it. We go around it. We don't show up for it. We don't get it done. Oh, I can go a couple more miles without that oil change. And then your engine locks up. I could go a couple more miles without changing the tire and then the tire pops. I could go without changing those brakes. And then when you most need it, you can't stop. Oh, what's a little high blood pressure? What's a little obesity? A little sugar problem? Come on. What's a little extra weight? Yeah, I'm breathing hard when I'm walking up the steps. No big deal, right? But then one day it catches up. You think you're on the way to work. You think you have your future ahead of you. And now you suffer a heart attack. You suffer a stroke. And your life is changed tremendously. Tremendously. Now you can't do that kind of work anymore. You're numb and you're paralyzed on one side of your body. Now somebody has to take care of you because you didn't take the responsibility to care for self. We're living fast lane. We know we only get one reputation. We know we get one image to live with. But we gamble with it. Moving in the dark, moving in secret. But we know that what's done in the dark will soon come to light. And I know you finished my sentence as I was saying it. We are unified. So, the 12th house is what captures these things. The 12th house captures the burden of negligence. It captures the burden of irresponsibility. It captures the burden and the weight of lacking accountability. It captures the burden and the weight of addictions as attempt to pacify that which demands responsibility, not pacification. Responsibility, not pacification. So when we attempt to replace what's calling for our attention to be accountable and responsible to the need, and we bring pacification to it instead, that fulfills negligence. Now we can anticipate and expect it's coming back en route to bring justice. And what does that do? It brings us full circle to the crisis of Cancer Mars, needing advocacy for the insecurity that you are experiencing, a crisis in the sense of security in the self, a sense of injustice concerning the inner self. The inner child is scared. The inner child is intimidated. The inner child feels violated. The inner child feels exposed. The inner child feels neglected. The inner child feels undefended and lacking advocacy. And why is that the case? Because we are not practicing self-preservation, accountability, responsibility that secures the self. When self is not responsible for self, others have to come together, hold hands, and stand around you and pick up the weight that you refuse to pick up. Now you are the burden of other people. Now you become the burden of other people. Understand, we become the people who blame others for what we're not getting in contradiction to our desires. I want a woman like that. I want a man like that. But the negligence and irresponsibility to self have you to walk around like a fat walrus, someone who's not attractive, someone who looks like they do not love their self. So who can you blame for nobody wanted to deal with someone who doesn't look like they love their self? I didn't say look perfect. I didn't say look like a runway model. I said you don't look like someone who loves their self. Understand, and you point the finger and say, oh, that's a bad person. That's no good. This person's no good. That person is mean, or whatever else you want to describe them with, because somebody didn't choose you. But you forgot to choose yourself. Understand. Negligence, irresponsibility, lack of accountability, somehow it shows back up in the least convenient times. Understand, the least convenient times it comes around. Often we run away from certain responsibilities. We run away from being accountable to our karma. We know what our karmic assignment is. We know what our karmic portion is. But like the song goes, right? She's a runner, she's a track star, huh? Yeah, that's some of us. We run away from what we know is good for us. We run away from what we know is right for us. We run away from what we know is destined for us because we don't want to move through the process, the work, the load, the accountability. Constantly seeing in the mirror of the other person that you have something to change about the self. And we become very crafty with narrating stories about how it's the other person's fault, not mine. It was because of the other person, not me. But the other person is nothing but a mirror. That's all. There's nothing else to be said about it. Understand? The spiritual practice of innocence has us to relieve ourselves of those burdens of the 12th house, the subconscious. Now, where is the beautiful harmony in this, where this can be found as evidence, as a fact? The polarity is the answer to the crisis in any sign. Let me demonstrate. Virgo 24th degree is what we're talking about. The spiritual practice of innocence. But where is the solution for that? Where is the answer or the instruction as how that is to be done? You look in the polarity. Pisces. And Pisces is what? It is the subconscious. It holds the burdens of the subconscious. And when you release it, when you purify it, it becomes God. It is Allah. Understand? Pisces is Allah. It is the power of your imagination. And let me give credit to Neville Goddard, if I said that word right. Neville Goddard. Neville Goddard. If you listen to the teachings of Neville Goddard, as well as his teacher, who he has a Muslim name, even though he was not Muslim, apparently, he was an Ethiopian rabbi named Abdullah. He was an Ethiopian rabbi named Abdullah who taught Neville Goddard, okay? When you listen to the teachings of Neville Goddard and Abdullah, it is 100%, all of his teachings from A to Z, it expounds on Pisces. It expounds on the number 7 vibration. It expounds on Neptune and Jupiter from a Pisces perspective. Understand? So if you really want to understand Pisces deeply, Neville Goddard and his teacher Abdullah, this is one of the greatest sources to really understand Pisces. Understand? Okay. So back to the point I'm making is that, let me pull the Sabian symbol back up so I can stay accurate here. The spiritual practice of innocence, Pisces North Node, which was led by Saturn, okay, it's getting us back to the innocence. Because once the conscious is clear, we're back to our innocence. That's what deprives us of our innocence, is when we load our conscience with guilt. When we load it up with guilt, we load it up with regrets. We load it up with expectations based on our fears. We load it up with terror for ourselves, illusions of fears, burdens upon burdens. And some of it came through the blood, and some of it came through experiences that we have passed through up until now. And we can't have innocence with that in the way. Fear is what makes me an enemy to a person. Fear, prejudice, guilt, greed, envy, lust, jealousy, gluttony. Name any one of the 7 sins that takes vibration in the 12th house. That is the source of an enemy. And that is where enemies come from. They first are within, and then they find a reflection without. And the reflection without is so that you can have a catalyst to have accuracy for the work within. Nonetheless, the enemies are eternally within. And the more we live a life that is not pure, that is not righteous, that is not good intending, good-willed, a life where we practice keeping our conscience clear, the more hesitation we have, the more fears we have, the more doubt we have, the more intimidation that we have to live with, because the conscience is not clear. Look how bold children can be, even when they're shy. Children live in a contradiction of shyness and boldness. They can be shy and bold within the same breath. And it's because of their innocence. They can look anyone in the eye and hold the stare. Their conscience is completely clear. They're not impressed by your degrees. They're not impressed by how much money you have. They're not impressed by what race you are, what color you are. Rather you have a mustache or rather you have braids. They don't care if you live in a good neighborhood or a bad neighborhood. Kids don't care about none of that until somebody teaches them to think that way. And as they grow closer to adults, adolescents, and then adults, they have experiences. And these experiences form judgment in the conscious. It forms classifications and naming in the conscious. And what do I mean by naming? When I see a person who is like this, and this person treats me a certain way, then I name that person as a bad person whenever I see someone who reminds me of that person. So I have named it. Understand? Now I'm reaching out for or expecting, manifesting, prophesying even of that treatment. I'm projecting now. Understand? So the reality lives within me, and I project it outward on someone who may not even reflect that reality, but I've already coined it. Understand? But children are born without these burdens. Something awakens what's in the blood, however, of that 12th house. Something awakens it, okay? This is what we need to understand. So if you have the karmic burdens in the 12th house, an event in the life will awaken that shadow so that it can be worked on. Understand? Okay? So we have to get back to the childlike innocence, and in sequence and order, Saturn is bringing us the karmic depth that we have in the 12th house of what guilt and fear that you yourself created, that I myself created, and that our forefathers created for us and left for us in the blood. And we have to work through those fears by confronting those fears, as well as guilt, lust, addictions, greed, hatred, okay? All of these shadows, we have to work through it, because these are the things that's taken away from our innocence. Look how beautiful a person is, man or woman, when they have innocence. We become beautiful when we have innocence. When we lose our innocence, we become something other than beautiful. Here's a part where I mention where I know you don't want me to mention. South Node Libra, as I told in the beginning, the moon and Pluto was together in the direct motion towards Aquarius, which prophesies of women coming to maturity in society. And this is part of that. The eclipse at Virgo, 24 degrees, it prophesies of women's innocence returning back to them. But women will regain their innocence by working through their karma that they have packed into their own subconscious from lifestyles in which they betrayed their own innocence and betrayed their identities, betrayed the mystery of the body and the mystery of the being. And they have to regain that. And of course, I'm sure you've already guessed how: atonement, confession, salvation. It is the only way. It is the only way for women to have innocence again. That's the thing that Western or American women especially lack, is innocence. They give their innocence away. They give it away because of public opinion, because of friends, popular opinion, what the crowd says, what friends say, what the Yaz girls say they should do or how they should live or what decisions they should make, what the movie stars and celebrities have said, what the music videos have painted of their perception that they coin as their own reality. And now they're living out Satan's world. Now we have women with no innocence. And when women do not have innocence, they are full of fear and guilt. And that fear and guilt within their subconscious, it projects outwards in false ways. Superficiality, arrogance, hypersexuality, attempting to compensate for value that they know they gave away, attempting to make up for glory that they know they don't have, attempting to reproduce themselves and sell themselves as value that they know they cannot attain in the route that they are going. But the correct way to go about this is with Saturn. And Saturn is the kryptonite to a female. Female's kryptonite is Saturn. They don't want to deal with accountability or responsibility. That is the kryptonite of the female, Saturn. Ironically, it happens to be her saving grace. Her only saving grace is Saturn. Discipline, order, structure, accountability, obedience. If she can do it, she can have her femininity back. It is the only way. There is no other route. So Saturn is accomplishing that by passing through Pisces, showing us what our hands have sown, showing us what we have been creating for ourselves, giving us a chance to be accountable to what we were negligent to, bringing responsibility back into our hands. But there are no fingers to point. You did this and you did that. No, you are the creator over your life, the God of your reality. And so I remind again, The more we progress in spiritual maturity, the more we radiate childlike qualities and purity of spirit. Spiritual maturity. The word maturity goes with the moon and Saturn. The moon was with Pluto when it went direct out of Capricorn into Aquarius, prophesying of how women are going to be changed, and the moon also represents people of society, understand, at the same time. So that is all of us. We have to come to spiritual maturity for that reason. And that is a transformational process that has to happen with Pluto, because that was the conjunction and forward motion. Pluto includes having resilience to accept what is true. Accountability. Accepting the hour of disillusionment that is at hand. Knowing what must be done to correct, to align with truth, to respect and honor what truth says. Not hiding away from it, not getting angry, not being a fugitive to the truth, covering your eyes and your ears, cursing the messenger. Understand? But accepting, surrendering, and transforming. That is true empowerment. There is no other recipe for empowerment except through Pluto, because Pluto is the owner of power. Don't listen to these females on Instagram. The only way to empowerment is through Pluto. And that's acceptance of the truth, surrender, and transform. The only route. Everything else is false, is an illusion. Now, spiritual maturity, it brings Saturn back to spiritual claims. When you take Saturn out of spiritual claims and practices and even teaching, you get entertainers. You get people who entertain you with Luciferic knowledge, which is through Venus. They're saying fancy things that sounds really cool. Things that you could scribble down and write down and then go say it to somebody else and it sounds sophisticated. But it has brought no transformation to the self. It's brought no transformation in healing to your relationships. It has not made you a better husband, a better father, a better brother, a better sister. It has not made you a better citizen. It has not made you a better person. It has only filled you with arrogance of what you think you know, just because you recite. Knowledge is not the value of the hour. The value of the hour is wisdom, not knowledge. We are in Aquarius Pluto. Wisdom is the principal thing, not knowledge. We are here to demonstrate wisdom in this hour, not knowledge. Any dumbass can recite knowledge. Any monkey can recite knowledge. And it only impresses fools. It only impresses a fool. And there are plenty entertainers out there. They have millions of followers and likes, hand claps, emojis. Oh, I'm so enlightened. Oh, I just love when you teach. Oh, I'm learning so much. Oh yeah, this is deep. I'm telling you, a lot of people just don't know. A lot of people don't understand. Yeah, they don't get it. Lost people. Entertaining themselves, but nothing transformational of an effect that's taking place with the self, in the relationships, in the life. Never follow the crowds. Where there are big crowds, there are false prophets, especially if they are surrounded by females. Yet they are false prophets. The information should directly correlate to transformation and empowerment in the life. You should have homework after listening to a real teacher. When you listen to a real teacher, you have homework. Not homework to fill your head with arrogance, but to fill your life with results. To fill your soul with results. Transformational empowerment. That is the power of wisdom. And wisdom leads us to understanding, and understanding is the best part, which is of the frequency of Pisces, which is seen through the prism or the eye of God. The prism bears many frequencies in the bending of white light, yet all colors of the white light spectrum is of singularity of light, white light. That is Pisces, which is Allah, God. Understand? Spiritual maturity. We have to practice. We have to place due process. You have to include Saturn. Your spirituality means nothing without Saturn. It is void without Saturn. It is mockery without Saturn. It's bullshit without Saturn. You're playing games without Saturn. You're entertaining yourself without Saturn. And Saturn is all of the work that your bullshitting ass keeps avoiding. And you know it, which is why your subconscious is burdened and you can't get to the innocence of the childlike mind. The childlike mind, it sees truth through the power of imagination. It sees possibility through the power of imagination. It sees no threats. It sees no fear. It just sees what's possible. And that is Jupiter of Neptune, Jupiter of Pisces. Understand? The childlike mind through Pisces and Neptune, including Jupiter, it is the power of imagination and creativity combined to be able to visualize, to conceive a new thought, to be inspired to what is possible, to live life without being impressed by a person's job title, how much money they have, the rank, not being impressed by a person's nationality or any of these other details that does not identify a person. The child cares about how you treat them. The child cares about how you make them feel when they are around you, the experiences that you have with them. The child cares about whether or not you're engaged or have a sense of presence with them. That's what children care about. Children are taught things like racism. They're taught things like bigotry. They're taught separation. They're taught hatred. They don't come here like that. No child does. No child comes here like that. Children will play with each other no matter what race, no matter what they got going on. If one of the kids is handicapped, if one of the kids is purple, green, or blue. I personally grew up with all kinds of kids in the house. My mother, she was a foster parent growing up, and there was always lots of other kids around. So I grew up seeing white kids in the house, black kids. I remember some Asians, Hispanics. There were kids of all kinds of races. And she also cared for, handicap, okay? People with, autism and what's that word? Paraplegics and, all kinds of things, abused kids, you name it, okay? It was always different faces that I was seeing, okay? And when you're a child, you don't care about none of the differences that a person has. You're just looking at, okay, you're different, I'm different. You're just looking at what fun can we create? What can we do together? What's possible? If one of the kids comes with a cast on, you're drawing pictures all over the cast and you're making fun with it. If one of the kids comes with, if he's really big, you're stepping on his shoulders and make a treehouse. I don't know. But kids use their imagination to make the best out of every situation. Now, here's where the trick comes in now. What is key to the child's imagination? To the beauty coming out in their imagination? Security. Security. You see, you can't make children happy. You can't make anybody happy. You cannot work their imagination for them. You don't have that power. You can facilitate. That's what you could do. And the way that you facilitate for that is providing security. And security is through what? It is through Earth. Virgo, Taurus, Capricorn. The Earth signs provide security and stability. When children have Earth, their creativity accelerates and opens up. It does wonders. Women are the same way. Women are just like children. I know people getting offended. People always getting offended at me. Fuck it. But, truth is truth. Women are just like children. If women have security, the best of them comes out. They talk, yap, 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 yap. They will not shut up. That's how you know a female is secure. That's how you know she has security. She won't stop fucking talking. And that's a good thing. It's a good thing because it's a good sign that she's in a good place. She's always talking. She's using her imagination, and she uses the power of her imagination, her Neptune, to help you. She casts that imagination over you. She sees you in a greater way than what you exist in the present moment, and she calls it into existence because of her perception over you, her imagination. The woman's imagination grows the possibility and potential of the man. The children's imagination, it creates realities in which they can enjoy themselves and feel pleasure and joy. And their pleasure and joy fills the home with the frequencies of pleasure and joy. And it blesses everybody. It heals everybody, the frequencies of their laughter and play. Understand, there's nothing. Kids laughing in the background, that's healing. That is healing. When you fill a home with the laughter of children. Come on. But where does that start? It starts with security. If you secure children through Saturn, discipline, order, structure, that's when they realize their security. Oh, I must be safe. Mommy and daddy is telling me what to do. They're telling me when to take my shower, when to take my bath. There's always food at 6 o'clock. We have to do our homework time, clean up time, dinner time, all right, bath time, get ready for bed. When you don't have routine for children, they feel insecure. That's Saturn. When you're not telling your kids what to do, they feel insecure because they feel like nobody's using strength or command over my environment. So I don't feel safe. That's why parents have to be authoritative in balance, because it registers to the children that somebody with strength is covering me. And guess what? Women feel the same way. You can't listen to what women say. That's the trick. See, some of y'all brothers out there don't know. You can't let a woman teach you how to treat her. She don't even know. You'll be lost listening to. Don't listen to. Stop fucking listening to women. Stop it. The same way you treat children is how you treat the woman. The same fucking way. All right? She needs somebody to tell her what to do and when to do it, how to do it. Just don't be abusive about it. Don't be overbearing. Don't provoke. But you have to have some strength in doing so because it makes her feel secure. Understand? But you being a little bitch and you maybe if you want to, you can. She gonna start feeling insecure. You're going to dry her up, and you know what I'm talking about by dry her up, and next thing you know, you ain't going to be getting none because she just, when women are turned off, they turned off. You know what I mean? She don't even want you to touch her. You know what I mean? And sometimes it could be something as little as you being a little bitch. Like for real. Please, just follow my advice. Listen. Same way you treat kids, you treat them. It's the same fucking thing, all right? Children need security. When kids feel safe, They will use their imagination to find their own happiness. They will use the power of their imagination to create their own joy and pleasure. They will use the power of their creativity to make fun and joy out of any and everything. And the woman does the same thing, using the same faculties to create a productive outcome with everything. She makes everything productive. She makes everything abundant. She makes everything efficient. She multiplies everything. She's a multiplier. She's a duplicator. She's an amplifier. That's what she does through the power of Neptune and Jupiter. When a woman loves you and she has faith in you, her Neptune belongs to you. She will use the entire power of that Neptune for you. In fact, I tell you this, she'll even give you all her money. That's what I know. Let women out there tell you all the lies. When a woman loves you and she believes in you, she respects you, she has faith for you, she'll give you every dime she got. Not to exploit her, because she no longer cares about the value of money. She cares about the value of what she's receiving out of security of you and your leadership. And she wants to give it to you so that it can enhance the sense of security and productivity that she's witnessing out of your lifestyle and behavior and characteristics. So she gives it all to you because now she has identified herself with you because she respects you. Fuck is you talking about? Fuck is you talking about, nigga? Come on. Spiritual maturity includes Saturn, the very thing that everybody keeps taking out of spirituality. Ever since the conscious revolution, which started with Dr. Umar Johnson's Hidden Colors, okay? Niggas just started going crazy, head wraps and yoga pants, crystals, and regurgitation of information that they do not understand. It's one thing to recite, but it's one thing to understand what you recite. You know that you have the wisdom of what you recite and understanding of what you recite when you have the ability to explain what you recite. But you will find that a lot of people are full of knowledge but can't explain a motherfucking thing without regurgitation and recitation. Understand that. Understand that. We got a lot of that out there. Conscious people, for the most part, are fucking frauds and jokes. Have you going in circles. Luciferic. Abundance of knowledge and information that serves to no benefit and is just entertainment. The innocence that we're achieving or reaching for through clearing of the 12th house, the subconscious, and by living a righteous lifestyle, which answers to the spiritual detriment of emotional insecurity through Mars Cancer. I really need advocacy. I need to feel safe. We feel safer when we do right and not do wrong. Matter of fact, I'm going to tell you what your uncle always said. All right? Everybody out there got an uncle that just walked behind you and scared the fuck out of you, right? He walk up and he like, you know, you oh shit, man, don't be walking up on me like that, yo. Don't be walking up on me like that, right? And somebody scare you, and what do they say? You start living right, you ain't got to be scared. You scared, go to church, right? There's some truth in that, right? If you was living right, you wouldn't be scared, nigga. That's what they say. Yeah, start living right, nigga. You ain't got to, you won't be scared. That's what your uncle said. It's true, right? You won't be so jumpy. You won't be so insecure if you was living right. That is the truth. The more we strive to live right in a clear conscience, the more secure we are and the less fear that we have in our body. You know what I mean? Today, I found a $20. I was at the laundry today, right? When I step in the laundry, I see a $20 bill right at the door. So I stepped on the $20 bill right at the door so the wind wouldn't carry it away. And I look around the laundry, I said, yo, somebody dropped $20? And I look around, there was some lady, you know, she was feeling around and she said, oh my God, I dropped my $20. Like, oh, here you go. So that's a situation, for example, where we have the chance to keep our conscience clear. You know what I mean? When you do dirt, when you do shit that you know your raggedy ass ain't got no business fucking doing, you're loading your subconscious up with burden and junk. Because the soul understands that what you do must return. You're sowing seed by every action and word. So you go to take that $20 knowing that there's people around who probably need that $20, dropped it, and okay, here's the thing. You made separation in the moment that you took the $20. Instead of announcing that somebody lost it, you practice separation. How do you practice separation? You forgot to treat other people the way that you would want to be treated, right? Okay, so if you drop $20, wouldn't you want somebody to announce, yo, somebody lost $20? Oh yeah, let me get that. I dropped it right here. Okay, so now you're not short of $20. But why would you do that to somebody else if you don't want it done to you? Do unto others is the golden rule. You know what I mean? Do unto others. Come on, man. That's children. That's being like children. Do unto others. You know what I mean? Don't do something that you know is going to weigh your conscience down. Don't do things that burdens your conscience, that you got to live with and regret. Don't do anything that you know you're going to regret. Don't do it. It's not worth it, because you clutter your subconscious, you clutter your mind, and now you can't tap into the power of Neptune and Jupiter. You can't manifest. It blocks your manifestation. When you're doing dirt, your manifestation gets blocked. You could be in a relationship with somebody who you know you ain't got no business being with. Understand, living a lifestyle that you know you ain't got no business living. And it weighs your subconscious down. Now you can't manifest. But when the conscience is clear, everything that comes to, bam, it just comes into existence. You call everything forth to you. Anytime something bad happens or unfortunate happens, guess what? Grace, mercy, and protection is always leading you. You always find that there's a ram in the bush, as my mother says, which came from the Bible, which is there's always a way out. Okay, whenever something happens, you find that there's always a way out, and you acknowledge, thank you, Allah, thank you, God, for providing mercy for me, grace for me, a way out for me, because misfortunes happen all the time. But when we're radiating that good energy, we're protected by it. That's that good fortune that stays with the fortunate soul. Understand? And we lead with that. But when you out here shucking and diving, doing dirt, moving how you know you ain't supposed to be moving, nah, you can't look forward to that, because you got all that coming back to you. You got bats swarming around your fucking head, nigga. Fuck is you doing? You got bats swarming around your head. Yeah, you're dusty. Yeah, you're dirty. You're grimy. Come on. Doing people wrong. Calculating and plotting. You know what I'm saying? All that's coming back to you. So let's clear our conscience. Let's live the way we know we're supposed to live. Then we could come back to the childlike innocence. We can have joy and happiness within itself, because we put ourselves in spiritual security. Spiritual security behind Saturn, which is I put myself in a place of obedience in my life. Children are subject to obedience of authorities over them. They're subject to the order and structure of authorities over them, children. And we should look at it the same way, that we should be subject to the order and structure of the Heavenly Father. Subject ourselves to the order and structure of the Heavenly Father, staying safe behind His rod. Thy rod and staff comfort me. Come on. Thy rod and staff comfort me. What's the rod and staff? It's the law. It's spiritual law. It's what you know of spiritual law that you must show obedience to. That is the rod and staff, compliance and obedience. Learn He obedience through the things that He suffered. That is what gives us security, truthfully, and being accountable and responsible, fulfilling all duties in the Holy Quran that says, O ye who believe, fulfill all duties and responsibilities. O ye who believe, fulfill all duties and responsibilities. That's a command. Allah gave a command, O ye who believe, fulfill all duties and responsibilities. That's not an option. This is the source of our insecurities. And it robs us of our creativity. It robs us of our innocence. It robs us from our childlike status in our being. It robs us of our creativity. A clear mind is creative. A peaceful mind is creative. And when we have the power of creativity, we start from nothing. Start from nothing. And we create abundance because of how we see it. Understand? And if you haven't already, you need to go down, scroll down to the video where I explain Neptune, Jupiter, and Mars, and how these three planets correlate in your creation process. That's very important, okay? Because Neptune and Jupiter through Pisces is how Mars takes instructions on how to create for you. Mars is going in direct motion out of Cancer, and Mars needs instructions from your Neptune and your Jupiter. So returning to the childlike innocence, it clears up any fog or confusion of those instructions that are going straight to the Mars to create for you. And whatever Mars runs into that does not extend into or beyond a timeline that you have to reach, Uranus has to take over for Mars through the power of innovation. Mars creates, but Uranus innovates. There's a difference. Understand? Uranus represents the zinc that covers and protects the iron. Okay? The zinc that covers and protects the iron. All right? That's galvanization. And that galvanization preserves the life of Mars and that which Mars is accomplishing. But Mars has to take instructions from your Neptune and your Jupiter, but he can't get a read if you're full of fear, if you're full of guilt, if you're living dirty, you're living the way that you know you're not supposed to be living, you're doing things that you're not supposed to be doing. I'm here to tell you right now, fornication and adultery is part of that. And some of y'all niggas don't want to accept that. Fornication and adultery is part of that, and a lot of you niggas don't want to accept that run around here fucking everything moving. That shit ain't cool. You was taught that it was cool, but it's not. You were taught that it's okay, but it's not. You were taught that it's good, but it's not. And you want to defend it. You want to argue, and you want to defend you being able to do that. You want to pretend like you didn't hear it. You want to act like you don't know. But it's blocking your blessings. It blocks your blessings. We should not be out here fornicating and committing adultery. That is clouding your 12th house too. It's building curse after curse that we all have to trample over as a community. It's enough of that. Addictions, drug addictions, alcohol addictions, spending addictions, oxytocin addictions. That was part of the Cancer transit as well. The crisis with oxytocin. Okay? It was addressing the crisis with oxytocin. The experience with oxytocin begins with the parent, the mother specifically, having emotional security with the mother, emotional connection with the mother. And security, again, is a key word that leads to the childlike mind being able to release its powers, even the inner child releasing its powers through the feeling of emotional security. Oxytocin was part of that experience. But when we have single parenthood and we have feminism and liberalism prevalent in society, children are not going to get that experience because, first of all, how can they have security when there ain't no damn daddy around? That's part of their experience of realizing security in the environment, and then the mother becomes overbearing because the father is not there as a balancing authority or balancing figure for her or the children or the environment that's being created. Now they're in emotional crisis altogether because children and women are too much alike for one to lead the other without the leadership of a father around. Excuse me, thank you. Excuse me, thank you. They're the same person. A child and a mother is the same person. One is just a big one and one is a little one. They're the same fucking mentality. What is you talking about? You have to have a man in that situation. Or the mother would become overbearing because she doesn't know how to regulate her emotions. That oxytocin is in crisis. So now the child grows up trying to compensate, trying to supplement the oxytocin. And you guessed it, how do we do that? You do a whole lot of fucking. You do a whole lot of sucking and fucking. That's all you do. Sucking and fucking. Because you got an oxytocin crisis in yourself. You're trying to supplement. Now you became promiscuous. Understand? So all these things come full circle. So what I've done is I backed into this lesson, which I'm going to explain, Matthew 18:3. But first, Mary and her little lamb. This is the picture. This is the picture. Mary and her little lamb. Innocence. Purity. That's what we're returning to. That's the goal. That's the objective. And number 9 at the South Node insists on that because 9 again works against the detriment of Venus. South Node Libra had us in a detriment with Venus. It had us in a crisis with Venus. And now the number 9 through South Node Virgo, it has to help us to rectify that situation and get clean, get sober. Get clean, get sober. Come out of the world and into the divinity of self, the divine authority and image of self. Standing in image and likeness of God, preparing for reception of divine Christ impulse. Married with baby Jesus. Isis with Osiris sitting on a lap. Understand? Number 9, Hermit card, process. Bringing in 7 vibration. Dissolving differences, dissolving duality into singularity, seeing singularity in all things. A child doesn't see that this is a Republican or that's a liberal, but the child sees this person behave that way and that person behave that way. That's all the child knows. They don't care about the titles. Look at Donald Trump. I definitely consider myself conservative. I'm a Donald Trump. I'm definitely not a fan, but what I say is I like what Donald Trump campaigned for, and I like what Donald Trump has been doing and accomplishing, and I voted for him for that reason, okay, personally. However, I would be a fool to think that it's correct to stand by Donald Trump no matter what. That's just foolish. I'm with you when you're right. I'm not with you when you're wrong. That is to have the childlike mentality about things. Because it's not the fact that you're Donald Trump, it's the fact that you happen to have policies, you happen to have an outlook, you happen to have a campaign that's closest to my own values. That's all that is. But doesn't mean that you can't do wrong, you can't do dirt, and you can't become the same person who you campaigned against. No, it doesn't. And a lot of us, I want to encourage you to read and study Plato, okay? Plato has prophesied about all of this, not prophesied, but he taught what is timelessly exposing and revealing meaning behind all of these political climates. It's a good education. Plato, okay? And also Plato's apology, Aristotle's apology by Plato, okay? It's very important to read that. I want to encourage you to do the homework and read that, okay? Now, I said that to say, speaking to children, at the inauguration speech, Trump began with a 13-year-old kid, black kid, who overcame brain cancer, okay? And his father was there as well. And, I was really excited to see it myself and, definitely cheering, within myself that the child overcame brain cancer. And you could see, that he had the surgery, his hairline, it shows it. And he started the speech out, first of all, acknowledging that he wasn't expecting the liberals on one side to clap for him or cheer for him or to support him. And the Republicans were being very supportive, obviously clapping, cheering, everything else. But he happened to start out with the black little kid who was a cancer survivor. And with him starting out with that, he acknowledged that, the kid also wanted to become a police officer, and he was there with the head of CIA, and he announced that the kid was an official member of the CIA. He showed his card, and, obviously at 13 years old, the president of the United States tells you that you're a member of the CIA. I mean, it's like your dreams come true, So everybody's cheering and clapping, as they should. I mean, I was cheering and clapping. You understand? It feels good to see such a gesture to an innocent child. The liberals on one side, they didn't clap, okay, because they were protesting. All right, obviously they're, in their stubbornness of not wanting to clap or support Donald Trump in any way, they're protesting. That's called a protest. All right. Now, what ends up happening is, after that event, the news the next day and podcasts all over the place, they use that as propaganda, to say, oh, look at the liberals. They didn't even clap for an innocent child, a cancer victim, a little black boy who overcame cancer. They couldn't even stand for that. Look how evil these people are. Now, if we're looking through, okay, the pessimistic South Node Virgo, we would criticize, okay, remember, Virgo is to criticize. We would criticize them and say, oh, they're so evil because they didn't clap for the little boy. Yeah, okay, it's, that's effed up. Y'all were protesting so hard and so hard and in your heart that you couldn't clap for a little boy who had, cancer. Yeah, okay, I get it. I'm not in disagreement with that, okay? I get the point. But here's the thing that I say, okay? And as you all know, I have a lot to say about liberals, okay? However, that doesn't stop me from seeing the truth also, okay? Because this is duality, seeing the truth. The truth is, that makes Donald Trump the same person. Because why would you use a little black boy who overcame cancer for your own selfish political leverage? Okay, so he's just as dirty as the ones who he's pointing at. The Republicans are just as guilty as the ones who they're pointing the finger at. And again, this is where duality of Pisces, which is duality, it leads to the wholeness of vision. And the wholeness of vision is seeing, no, one is not bad and one is not good. They both are they both are the yin and the yang of each other. That's it. It's the yin and the yang. Okay? Republicans and liberals, they are the same person, but in reverse. Because one is through Venus and one is through Mars. One is through Aries and one is through Libra. The Republican side is Aries, Mars. The liberal side is Venus, Libra. Okay? Libra is the handle of the knife. Aries is the tip of the knife. That's the way that it works. Mars represents iron. Venus represents copper. You see? Venus is divine feminine, that of adolescence. Mars is divine masculine of adolescence. Okay? In adolescence specifically, understand, because of maturity, we're talking about Saturn and the moon, okay? That's different. Now, duality, yes, the liberals did that, but look what the Republicans did. They used an innocent boy for their dirty campaign, for their dirty political agenda. They used it. So you're just as bad for using a child's handicap and condition to move your personal image. That's shitty. That's low down. That's terrible. That's criminal. That's disgusting. And yes, I'm saying this about Trump. Understand? So regardless of how much I like what Trump does, it doesn't stop me from seeing the truth of what he does. Get me? Okay? So again, this is a childlike mind, where you don't get caught up in titles or personalities, where you're not impressed by titles and personalities. You still see the reality that's right before you. Understand? Okay? This is what I'm getting at. That is not to have loyalty to any personality or loyalty to any company, but loyalty to the truth, loyalty to justice, loyalty to virtue. Understand, that is the trustworthy handhold that will never break. And that was in the Holy Quran, where Allah says, hold to the trustworthy handhold that will never break. And that is your trust and faith in God, Allah. Okay. So, now, humility, having humility. Humiliating a child is something that cannot so easily be done, because children do not have an investment in their ego. Okay? You can humiliate a child, but what I'm saying is it's not so easy to do. It takes something extreme to humiliate a child. Okay? The more that a child feeds into their ego, or the parent teaches them or feeds into their ego, the more the possibility of humiliation reaching that child once the ego is opposed or exposed. Okay? Now, a lot of us have invested significantly into our ego to the point where everything seems to embarrass us. Everything seems to put us in a place of humiliation. What this person said or what this person did, and when we feel humiliation, we're on attack mode. We're on defense mode. It makes us into something that we shouldn't be. It causes us to behave in ways that we might regret, because we invest so much into our ego. Aquarius Pluto has us to learn to let go of so much self-importance that we're holding on to become a little less important and place more emphasis on what we're here to do and accomplish, rather than the importance of the self, the glorification of the self, the worship of the self, the arrogance of the self, the narcissism with the self. And we are especially going to learn this as a result of South Node Virgo. South Node Virgo simply says, among many other things, being perfect is unattainable. Being flawless is unattainable. You need to figure something else out. This can relate down to something as simple as, so many women in this society can't stay out of the Chinese beauty product store. Trillions of dollars every year spent in wigs and lashes, makeup, BBLs, surgeries, all kinds of products, consumerism, because I have to try to look so perfect. I don't like my nose, I don't like my eyes, I don't like my hair, I don't like nothing about myself because it doesn't look perfect. You have people who are in serious debt, pulling out loan after loan with the banks, because you want people to think that you're at a status that you're not. So you're swimming in debt, credit card debt, bank loan debt, in order to live in this type of house, in order to drive that type of vehicle, in order to have a lifestyle, an illusion of a lifestyle that you really can't afford. Humiliation is what a lot of people are running away from, but humiliation in and of itself can be an illusion if you're just simply arrogant. The more arrogant you are, the more you surround yourself with the threat of humiliation. Humiliation is something you experience internally within the self based on your perception of your own status in comparison. Understand how you preferred other people to see you, but you wasn't able to pull it off, or being in contradiction to what you wanted other people to think or believe of you, and they witnessed it. Humility is better. Humiliation is when you get taken down, when you get humbled. Humility is when you lead with a humble heart, so you don't have to be humbled. Understand, humility is powerful. It allows you to connect with others. It makes more possible with being resourceful, with gaining in support, assistance, cooperation. More is possible. Look at children. No matter what language they speak, nationality or race, handicaps that they might have, children are the symbols of humility. They are symbols of humility, and they have no problem connecting. They have no problem getting together to play. Several kids on the playground who are perfect strangers, and as long as as long as they can see that they're a little kid, it means it's playtime. It means we're supposed to get together. We're supposed to connect. We're supposed to run and play and jump and have a good time. That's all that matters. That's humility. Now imagine we still have the same humility as adults, where when we see other people, there's no barriers between us because of fear, arrogance, hate, prejudice, animosities, or whichever else. We engage and we connect in our innocence because collectively we've tapped into the same understanding. Do no one no harm. To thyself do no harm, and to others do no harm. Be just to self and be just to others. Right? Like Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, like he said, a believer is one who is safe from his brother or sister's hand and safe from his brother and sister's tongue. Imagine that. Can you guarantee others to be safe from your hand and safe from your tongue? Can I? That's a challenge that I think all of us should start practicing. The innocence and the humility. The humility. Humility makes a lot of things possible. Whenever there is humility, solutions are easier to find. When you're not constantly running into ego, animosity, anger, resentment, the buildup of these investments into the ego, it's easier to find solutions to problems. When you watch children, they're fighting over ice cream, fighting over the last pack of noodles, or, who got to sit in the front seat, or who gets to play the video game next. They could be all out fighting, throwing fists, crying, screaming, kicking each other, body slamming each other off the beds, right? And then 2 seconds later, while they still got tears in their eyes, they're laughing and joking and playing with each other. Children are masters of getting over it. They're masters of the makeup and play. They know how to resolve an issue and move forward. They do not hold on to grudges until they learn that that's what other people do. It's significant at this time because in all of this that I'm explaining, must I remind you, Venus is in retrograde for 40 days, bringing into relationship themes and resources. Understand, humility, the childlike mind, it can have a lot to do with aligning with the intent of the Venus retrograde. Communications as well. Leading with humility in our communications. There's a lot that we can accomplish. So much more is possible. Another thing that does not present itself as barriers between children is sophistication. We live in a day where everyone is pretending to be sophisticated. Everybody wants to be sophisticated. I have a PhD. I have this career. I got this job title. I work for this place. I run this company. I'm in charge of this. I'm an exec for that. I'll make this much money, that much money. Everybody is trying to fabricate themselves, manufacture themselves as being someone who is very sophisticated. And the truth is, all of us are simple because none of us are so wise. that we should be held as mystery against our own good. The sophistication. Children do not show up with sophistication. They show up as their self. No matter how they are dressed, they don't care. They don't care about hairlines. They don't care about what clothes are matching. They don't care how tall you are. They don't care about none of that. All they care about is, can you show me a good time? Can we have fun? Can we get together? Can we hang out? Can I show you my toy or my Pokemon collection? Look at this trick I can do. Want to see my new bike? Want to play video games? That's all they care. They're not sophisticated. And they don't try to be sophisticated. When we're always showing up trying to be so damn sophisticated, nobody's good enough for you. Oh, she don't got this, he don't got that, you ain't do this and you ain't do that. Who out there, you can respond if you want in the comments, whatever. There's a show called Pop the Balloon. I know y'all heard it. It's a Pop the Balloon show. If you watch the Pop the Balloon show, that shows right there the crisis of South Node Virgo, where you think you so sophisticated, you so special, you so up the fucking ladder that everybody is a no. Nobody's good enough for you. For the dumbest shit. Oh, you ain't tall enough. I don't like your pants. I don't like your hairline. Oh, you shouldn't have wore those boots. This is the reason why you can't connect with somebody. This is the reason why you're single. This is the reason why you can't keep a woman or keep a man. The ridiculous things. We're all trying to be so sophisticated, but revealing and exposing ourselves as being so simple at the same time. And I don't mean simple in a complimentary way. I mean simply sad. Like low IQ. Especially females. American females think they are very special. All of them think they are way up the ladder above their male counterparts. They think they are very special. They think nobody is worthy of them. Everybody has to be making six figures. Everybody has to be rich. Everybody has to be tall. Everybody has to have a six-pack and have all this stuff to shower her with. Take care of me. Pay all my bills. I want to travel. I want this and I want that. You got to be able to keep up with my lifestyle and all this other stuff. That is the energy of the South Node Virgo. To have a perception of yourself of perfection. To think that you have perfection as something that is attainable to yourself. To see yourself as perfection and others is not. A reality check is manifesting. A reality check is coming. It's coming down the pipeline. This eclipse is going to bring the reality check like a freight train. Bam! It's going to hit some people and wake them the fuck up like you got knocked the fuck out. Understand? Chris Tucker, nigga. Yeah. It's going to be some awakenings. The events of life are going to continue unfolding to bring this experience full circle. To where you get exposed to yourself and realizing, damn, I am not all that I'm trying to pull off and cut out to be. God damn, I need to get back in reality. Look at Kendra G. The energies move in such a way to where nobody got exposed to you. You go expose yourself. She just discredited a man who was reciting his experience with being sexually assaulted. And she almost got canceled by it. Canceled for that. Look at Jasmine Crockett. She thinks she's so perfect and she's so high and mighty, but yet she doing the most ratchet things on camera, making herself look like a fucking donkey. Dancing on camera, tongue sticking out, but you supposed to be a member of Congress? Prestige? These females are contradictions of themselves. They're so lost they can't even see themselves. But again, it keeps coming full circle to expose them. That is the number 9 working against the detriment of Venus. Do we understand that? So, Matthew 18:3, finally, which says, "Truly I tell you, unless you change and become like little children, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven." You will never enter the kingdom of heaven.